Week is Fairtrade Week, and we're celebrating the power we have as consumers in purchasing Fairtrade products which promote equality and sustainability in the farming sector. Now, by buying Fairtrade, we're making a difference by improving labor and living conditions for the farming communities and promoting a way of farming that doesn't harm either people or the environment.
Fairtrade is all about improving lives, but we don't do that through charity. There's no handout in the Fairtrade movement. In so many countries, in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, the laws protecting workers are very, very weak, or they're not enforced. So for much of the agricultural working population around the world, life is very hard and it's not very safe. That's what Fairtrade is trying to change. In Ghana, for example, historically, child labor has been a huge problem. We find that Fairtrade cocoa co-ops are building schools, creating scholarship funds, and sending kids on to high school and on to college. In Rwanda, we find communities that have invested in clean water and women's health. In Uganda, vanilla farmers get 8% of the final export price on average. But by connecting with the Fairtrade buyers here in the US, these small family farmers in Uganda have been able to get a fabulously higher price because they're not selling to local middlemen. So with the higher price, they in turn have been able to invest in the quality of the product. And the vanilla now is just incredible. The biggest change that we see on large Fairtrade farms and in the apparel factories is they're working in a safer working condition. They're getting bonuses as a result of Fairtrade. Workers are able to sit at the table and address problems with management. So there's a level of confidence that you just don't see outside in other workplaces. And so there's this invisible dividend in the Fairtrade world that you can't see, but you know it when you talk to a farmer. It's hope and pride and dignity because people are solving their own problems through Fairtrade.